love now and
Did you fall in love last night?
Love was stronger than anything. For the love.
And I love you more than anything.
There's still love. Love.
From the New York Times, I'm Anna Martin. This is Modern Love. Every week, we bring you stories and conversations inspired by the Modern Love column. We talk about love, lust, heartbreak, and all the messiness of relationships. And today, I'm talking to comedian Amelia Dimoldenberg. For the past 10 years, Amelia's been producing and starring in a viral YouTube series called Chicken Shop Date. In each episode, she takes a celebrity guest, like, say, Sabrina Carpenter, out for fried chicken and a bit of light flirting.
Do you find it easy to fall in love?
Such a great question to spring on me in this chicken shop.
Well, we're on a date.
Amelia's been on dates with everyone, from SZA.
I just realized that I'm undesirable.
I think you're, very attractive. I think that's more that's a fact.
To Billie Eilish.
I got you vegan chicken nuggets and chips for your lunch.
I heard.
Because I'm not available on the menu yet.
Damn, I was really hoping that it could be you.
To Jack Harlow.
Have you reached peak cuteness yet?
No.
I know you're still getting cuter by the hour.
You are funny.
I know.
Of course, these aren't regular dates. They're celebrity interviews disguised as dates. But that doesn't stop Amelia from putting herself out there.
I'm a really good flirter, as in that's one of my special skills that I can do.
Today, Amelia reads an essay about a dating-induced anxiety spiral, and then tells us how we can find a little more joy and humor in dating.
I just think with every date, it's a fun story for the group chat. It's a new person with an interesting life that you could talk to. It's something to do instead of doom scrolling on your phone. Think of it as fun, and more fun will happen.
Amelia, I want to start by asking you about Chicken Shop Date because I've watched so many episodes, I think maybe every episode. Honestly, when I watch it, I'm like, am I interrupting something? Because you have such a vibe with everyone on the show. What makes that happen? Where does that chemistry come from?
I don't really fully know. I feel like maybe the audience is better judge at that. But in my opinion, yeah, maybe it's this confident woman that is equal parts desperate as they are totally uninterested.
Yes.
And it's that kind of mixture that I think creates this kind of unique character. Because sometimes I'll be obsessed over them and be so when am I going to see you next? Or can I get married to you? Or just propose? And then they'll say something flirty and I'll be can you stop flirting with me, please? And I think that it's that confidence that maybe we don't see so often that I think people are attracted to. The confidence is key.
Yeah, I love that. You are so confident on the show. Were you always like that growing up?
When I was in primary school, so elementary school, I was really popular and I had lots of friends and I really enjoyed it and I felt very confident. As soon as I got to secondary school, when I was, 12 years old, I didn't have any friends whatsoever. For the first nearly 3 years of school, I had no friends. And I feel like that kind of created the person I am now, the mixture of the confidence and then feeling very isolated and feeling very uncool and not popular at all. I know that I'm this confident person and that's really who I am. And then sometimes there are voices that come into my head and they tell me otherwise. And then I forget about that truth. And I think maybe that's something that happens to all of us is that deep down that you're hot, you're great, you're funny, you have great belief in yourself, but there are certain things that always crop up and there's this person on your shoulder that sometimes comes in and they tell you otherwise. I think self-confidence is a constant work in progress.
I'm glad you brought up insecurity because it's something I want to talk to you about. It's a part of the Modern Love essay you're going to read.
Oh yeah, please.
A few nights ago, I was feeling insecure myself because I'd gone on this amazing first date. Walk in the park, guy was hot, he was tall, he was a photographer. We all know the type. And then the date ended and I was like, oh my God, what do I say? Like I felt so confident on the date, like sparkly and funny and hot and whatever, a little sweaty, but that's all fine. After the date, I was like, what do I say? So I texted him a picture of something we talked about. And then a full 24 hours after this date, I'd like spun out and he hit me with this, we know these texts, right? This text that was like, you're great. It was such a nice date, but I think we're in different places. That text, your heart sinks, doesn't it? Your heart just sinks.
It's so true because you think, why? I thought that went so well, and it's just not it's not what you wanted to hear. I also think that we have a tendency to fantasize about things, and as soon as something goes well, you know, you're thinking about the next day, the next week, and all of these things that can happen, and the fantasy feels so good. And when the reality hits and it's not what you've dreamt about, which by the way it will never be, because that's the purpose of a fantasy, it's not real, that you're disappointed and it hurts. But I think it's all about your resilience to moving on to the next thing. You need to, like, one, put yourself out there, not be afraid to go on these first dates, and to be open and to say how you feel and be yourself. And that's how you should live your life. But you just need to get better at being resilient. It's like pulling yourself back up and remembering that confidence. That's the thing that can be hard and that it needs to be worked on, I think.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the modern love essay you're going to read is about all of this. It's about insecurity. It's about the kind of roller coaster of confidence that dating can put us on. And specifically, it's about the very particular anxiety of the post-date follow-up text. I have experience with these types of texts, like with that park guy from Hinge. And I want to ask you, like, how do you approach sending those follow-up texts? Do you send them? What's your vibe?
Oh, I'm really into them. So but more like if a date doesn't go well. Like if a date doesn't go well and I don't want to see them again, I will tell them. I will literally write a message and I'll say, thanks for a lovely evening. I'd like to leave things there for now, like, and stick to being friends. Like, I will just get it done because I don't want the admin and the weight of thinking about it. I want a clean break and just to move on to the next thing. So I 100% will always send the message if I don't want to see them again. And then if I do want to see them, I often will probably wait for them to text me first. I mean, why not? Like, why not wait a bit? And if they don't text me, I probably will text them. Right. Even though I know it's probably not going to end up as a good idea. But I definitely still will.
I mean, yeah, sometimes you just got to send that text. When we come back, Amelia reads the modern love essay, The 5 Stages of Ghosting Grief, about a woman who sends a risky post-date text and then panics.
The 5 Stages of Ghosting Grief by Rachel Fields. At 6:30 a.m., I was blow-drying my hair, getting ready for work and accepting the demise of my 2-week relationship. The nail in the coffin was that at 10 the night before, I had texted him something vaguely sexual and he hadn't texted back. The morning had become a quick but emotionally turbulent journey through the 5 stages of grief. First, denial. It was entirely possible he hadn't seen the text. He could have been in a deep sleep. He could have dropped his phone in the toilet. He could have died. Any of these options were comforting. He wasn't really a texter anyway, so his lack of response didn't necessarily reflect the weirdness of my text. It was probably normal for non-texters to see a text and not reply to it. They saw it, found it charming, or not, but didn't think it required a response. Totally standard. Anyway, was the text even that weird? If you went on a date and got vaguely physical during a makeout session on a bench in a secluded area of a public park, wouldn't it seem natural to text something vaguely sexual a few days afterwards? I opened my messages to remind myself what exactly I had sent. There it was, at 10:02 p.m. I can't stop thinking about what I'm now referring to as quote-unquote bench time. Okay, so it was a little confusing. Deep into my third glass of wine, I'd thought I was being coy, but the result was somewhat inscrutable. It wasn't even clear I had enjoyed the experience. Was it possible he thought I was traumatized? Did he think I was accusing him of something? No, that was ridiculous. He probably had noted my text, smiled, felt as aroused as you can be by a text as vaguely sexual as mine was, and gone to sleep, dreaming of me. But all the same, isn't it a little rude to get a text from a woman you've been dating for 2 weeks and to not even acknowledge it? How hard can it be to fire off a blushing smiley emoji or a 4-word answer? He didn't even need to reciprocate the sexual innuendo, though it would have been appreciated. He could have just said, nice. Scrap that. Nice would have been way worse. If he had texted nice, I would have thrown myself into the sea. I didn't care if he was a non-texter. And what does that mean anyway in this day and age? For a friendship to exist these days, people need to know they can text, "Ugh, I love oysters," at 2:15 p.m. on a Friday and get a response by 2:30. Of course, there would be pathetically little at stake if he failed to reply to a Friday afternoon, "Ugh, I love oysters" text. But this was my first flirtatious text after our physical encounter. By not responding, he was essentially shouting into the universe, "You are overly sexual, way too forward, and deeply unattractive to me." But honestly, if he was offended, I didn't want to be dating him anyway. You can't engage in an open-shirted make-out session and then get offended when the woman texts you a vaguely sexual follow-up. Maybe if I didn't look at my phone for the next 5 minutes, he would text. Yes, that was the answer. I would blow-dry my hair like a casual, confident, independent woman. I would think about work and my friends and whether I should make an appointment for... Seriously, had he still not texted? I put my phone face down with the ringer off. Now I couldn't see if he texted. I could only start living my life. I was single, empowered, and ready for anything. No, that wouldn't work. If the ringer was off and the phone was face down, I wouldn't know if he did text. The best solution was to keep the phone face up, ringer off, so I could see the phone light up if he texted, but not be bothered by the ringer. The ringtone was jarring, and anyway, I was blow-drying my hair, so I wouldn't hear it. 2 minutes later, still no text. I started thinking about my life and what it would look like from the outside. 2 nights before, he and I stood gazing at the Chicago Botanic Gardens' much-discussed corpse flower, which had been due to bloom that evening, but hadn't. "This plant looks fake," he had said. "It looks like a plant from a 1930s movie about prehistoric jungles. How do we know this thing is real?" I laughed. Maybe it's just a ruse to get visitors and the plant is made of plastic. No one would know. Dusk was nearly upon us, and a strong rainstorm had kept away the evening crowds. Happiness stole over me. The quiet joy of standing in the dark in front of a 6-foot-tall plant, talking in unnecessary whispers. "What if it blooms right now?" I said. "What if it blooms and we're the only ones to witness it?" The thought made me shiver. As rain pounded the walls outside, I wanted nothing more than for the corpse flower to bloom for us alone. The security guard at the door interrupted my fantasy. He peered into the room and glared at us. "Closing time," he barked. "You would have been locked in here all night." "Sorry, sir," I said, as we followed him out, suppressing our laughter. I thought it had gone well. When we parted on the train platform, I had felt sure we would go out again. It was early to feel so confident, yes, but in the happy haze of our 4 hours together, I had imagined him really liking me. But as I surveyed my apartment, towel still on the bed, wall-marked lamp from college in the corner, I started to reconsider. I am messy, lazy, and selectively kind. Other women have white sheets that are actually clean and little bowls filled with decorative stones. Other women keep orchids. Other women do yoga. I told myself this wasn't true, and we all have flaws, but I doubted other women's flaws were as bad as mine. In the past, when I asked my friends about their faults, they said things that didn't count. They got frustrated sometimes or worked too much. These conversations inevitably ended with me saying, "Those aren't bad enough," and storming away. They didn't say what I wanted to hear, that deep down they weren't sure if they were likable, that they were so irresponsible they couldn't imagine being mothers. They didn't say they craved attention but had trouble giving it to others. They didn't say how cruel they could be. These were surely the flaws he had seen in me. Switching the blow dryer to the other side of my head, I took a few deep breaths. What if he had seen my flaws and hadn't texted because of them? What if he had seen who I was and hadn't liked me? I tried to get beyond my immediate response. If he doesn't like me, nobody likes me. I'm unlikable. And really, think about it. If he hadn't texted because he didn't like me, was that so bad? Relationships shouldn't be about suckering people in with some sanitized version of yourself, only to spring the real you on them later. Maybe he had seen the real me and decided it wasn't for him. Plenty of things aren't for me. Running, action movies, owning a dog. None of those things are bad because I don't like them. And if he hadn't liked me, why would I want to be with him? I wanted a relationship with someone who thought I was wonderful. Messy, maybe. Prone to leaving towels on the bed, yes. Bad with money, absolutely. But wonderful. Maybe he had seeds of doubt and realized what it takes a lot of other people years to figure out. That those seeds of doubt can spread tendrils through your body until they eventually strangle your heart. And then 5 years later, you're having dinner together and all you can think is, this isn't right. But by then, it's too late. It was better to take notice now and bow out gracefully. Better to save us both years of indecision, resentment, and desperation. Maybe by not texting, he had given me the gift of the rest of my life. I put down my blow dryer and checked the time. 7:15 a.m. Outside, the breeze was lifting the leaves on the trees and traffic was starting to pick up. There was only so much life to live and no time to spend it with people who weren't the very best fit. And then he texted.
Oh my God, of course he texted. Of course he texted. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. I love the last line. Oh my God. When I first read it, it was losing me. I thought, she's really overreacting here and she needs to get a grip. And then the last line, wow. Then I was like, this is genius. This is a piece of art.
So good. And it really is like this crazy cosmic thing where the person you're interested in will wait until quite literally the second that you've given up on them to reach out again. Like, what is that? It's like a law of the universe.
Oh my goodness. It's that same feeling of surprise that you got when you're reading it that you feel when the thing happens to you, when they message you. It's just a mirror of the relationship because you talk yourself out of liking someone.
Totally.
And then they text you and you're like, well, here we go, back again. I'm
in
into
love.
it.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened with me with the writer. I taught myself out of liking them and then here you go, I'm calling them a genius. So
we'll be right back. Amelia, we just heard you read the essay, The 5 Stages of Ghosting Grief. And the author of this essay, Rachel Fields, was pretty confident when she sent her text. It was flirty, it was a little bit risky, all about the bench time. But then obviously, the whole piece is about the excruciating hours waiting for him to reply. Have you ever been in that situation?
For sure. I've been there countless times. And I think it goes back to what we were previously talking about feeling confident and thinking, this is a text I would send. I'm feeling funny, I'm feeling confident, and I felt an energy. So I'm going to message something that's flirty because that's what I feel like doing and that's who I am. And then when you don't get the response you want or you get radio silence, you then, the self-doubt starts seeping in and it turns you into this person that you're not, which I think is what happened here in this situation. So I really relate to that. And I think that, again, it's just that confidence you once had just sort of kind of being sucked out of you. And it's a shame.
I mean, the guy does text Rachel Fields back, but it takes him a few hours. It takes him 9 hours. She sent the text at 10:15 p.m. and he responded at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Maybe it was 7:15. Anyway, 9 hours. And I feel like the way you see those 9 hours is very telling. Some people see that response time as a clear sign, like, this guy hates me. He took 9 hours. And other people are like, what's the problem? Like, he was probably just sleeping. Like, he's at work, whatever. It's like the early morning. That seems like a much more peaceful way to think about things. Have you reached that kind of enlightened place in terms of dating? Or do you see that text as like a referendum?
Well, I think it's like if it becomes a pattern, then there's something off. I have been in the most high pressure environments on the red carpet of the Oscars, and I was dating someone and they messaged me, I reply straight away.
Wait, is that real? Did you actually do it from the red carpet?
Yeah. Like there is no, like,
if he wanted to, he would.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got their phone on them at all times. They're glued to it. So I do think that there's a lot to be said for like taking note of how the communication goes. But I also think that often it's actually not about you, and like decentering you can help a lot, because you have no idea what they're going through. You have no idea if they're just not in the right headspace to date. And even if you are great, like, it's actually not about you. Right. And maybe just, if you just stop thinking about you for a moment, you might feel better.
Yeah, I mean, the author of this essay, Rachel Fields, really tries to calm herself down while she waits, but she was pretty unsuccessful. What do you do to chill yourself out if you're like waiting for a text to arrive? What are your tactics?
Text someone else.
That's good.
Have multiple options. I think having multiple options is always good. Easier said than done, but it actually does work. Like, if you're chatting to multiple people, it's easier to not get invested in one person and for like everything to be the be all and end all. Like that, I just do think that works. However, getting multiple options is hard. Yeah. So when that doesn't happen, I think that you have to distract yourself. And it's really like, I've spent so much of my life being single. Like, for the majority of my life, I'm single. I date, but like my last proper relationship was 4 years ago. So I just spend most of my time in this limbo of like waiting for messages back, or knowing if they're interested, or knowing if I'm interested in that other person. Yeah. And I think it's just part and parcel of being single. But at the same time, like, I have so much other things going on in my life that I'm grateful for, that like actually romantic love, even though I want it so badly, there's so many more types of love that I have in my life. And so I probably would say, like, my advice would be to lean into the other types of love that you have, and to know that romantic love is not the best kind that you can get. And I mean, that Bell Hooks taught me that. And
all about love, baby. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what I try and do, is remember all the other great things that I have going on that aren't to do with this guy that's not texted me back.
I am going to play your audio back the next time I'm sitting there in my apartment sweating, waiting for a text back. It's so true. I love what you're saying. Obviously, like, text someone else, build the roster, which I think is very practical advice. But then this sort of like broader emotional approach of being like, listen, romantic love in my life is maybe a little bit of a question mark right now, but look at these amazing friends and family and my love for myself, my love for my dog, whatever. Like it focusing on those different types of love. I think that's incredibly smart and incredibly hard to do, is it not?
Hard. It's so hard to do. I find myself being sad like a lot of the time because I'm single and I'm going into my 30s and I'm in my friendship group. I'm the only person that's not in a relationship.
Yeah.
And it is hard, but like I also just have to remind myself, like, why am I wasting time being sad? This is a waste of my energy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my friends probably look at me and they think, I wish I had that element of Amelia's life. And I'm looking at them and thinking, I wish I had that element of theirs. But it's really tough. All the good ones are taken. I'm sorry. All the good ones are taken. Like, that's the issue I have.
Wait, please don't tell me that, because I'm like really hoping that the situation is different across the pond, and it's not.
This is what my theory is. Most of the good guys are in relationships.
Okay, crap.
They are. And when they are not in relationships, they're out of their relationship for maximum 6 months, I think.
Oh my God.
So it's all about timing, about meeting someone at this moment when they're like out of a relationship and they're ready to meet someone. And
the window's like 2 weeks.
It's literally, and it's crazy. But sometimes you got to maybe see that. Now I'm trying to see that as a positive, and like, it's not about me. Like, it's literally, it's the timing, and like, it's not to do with the fact that I'm not lovable or I'm not a good person or I'm not a catch. It's literally that just, that's the way it is. It's just, there's not that many single dreamy guys available. Like, it's just not.
Okay, it's simultaneously like so good to hear you say that. And I'm like, dang, I kind of hope that things were different in the UK, and I'm not sure why.
It's not different, but I also have hope. Like, I'm not a cynic at all. Like, even though I've said that, I truly believe that I will meet someone. Like, I have to. Like,
I do too.
I have to. It has to happen.
I do too. I fundamentally believe that.
Yeah.
Amelia Dimoldenberg, what a treat. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you so much. I feel so much better now.
So
feel
do
like
I literally
was also
needed this.
Going through it like this morning as well.
Wait, are you being real? Because I
better.
literally am.
Yeah, and also hopefully some people listening to this too will feel a little bit better.
Totally. Modern Love is produced by Riva Goldberg, Davis Land, Emily Lang, and Amy Pearl. It's edited by our executive producer, Jen Poyant, Riva Goldberg, Davis Land, and Lynn Levy. Production management by Christina Josa. The Modern Love theme music is by Dan Powell. Original music by Dan Powell, Aman Sahota, Carol Sabaro, Rowan Nemisto, Pat McCusker, and Diane Wong. This episode was mixed by Daniel Ramirez. Studio support from Maddie Masiello and Nick Pittman. Digital production by Mahima Jablani. The Modern Love column is edited by Daniel Jones. Mia Lee is the editor of Modern Love Projects. I'm Anna Martin. Thanks for listening.